Late Night Lake Show, we back. So let's zoom in on DeAndre Ayton. Two preseason games in, and while his scoring is still modest, his defensive presence is starting to send a message. You can see it, how he's moving, how he's communicating, how he's controlling the paint. It's not loud, but it's loud if you're watching closely and has impact, right? Game 1 against Phoenix, Ayton was fronted most of the night, only 2 shot attempts, finished with 1 point. But he grabbed 8 boards, blocked 2 shots, and even forced a couple of turnovers by just being in the right place. Imagine that, a 7-footer just taking up space and disrupting the offensive flow. He didn't pout. He didn't press on the issue. He just leaned into what he's here to do. He said, I'm not here for numbers. Protecting the rim, closing out on possessions is priority number 1. And that's a guy who's trying to redefine himself. Now look at game 2 against Golden State. He had more touches. He had more freedom. Still not a lot more scoring. 7 points, 7 boards, 2 blocks in about 20 minutes. But overall, I guess that value, it was in the defense. That's what JJ is looking for him to contribute the most. And I think when he's locked in, guards chase over screens with confidence. The help rotation makes sense. It's structure. And he brings order to chaos like most lockdown bigs do. Anthony Davis was a great example of that when he was terrorizing and we had guards funneling offensive ball handlers right to him in the post. But if you start to wonder, is this the version of DeAndre Ayton that the Lakers actually need? I feel you on that. He's not a 20-10 guy fighting for touches, but he's a disciplined and mature anchor who cleans up everything behind LeBron and Luka. You probably take that, right? Because let's be real. Next to Luka's usage and LeBron's playmaking, Ayton's not going to live on post touches. He's going to live in the margins. Rim runs, offensive boards, short roll reads, and defensive presence. It's the little things that play and make winning players in playoff games come April, come May, come June. So the question is that enough for DeAndre Ayton? Is he satisfied with the role that he is given on this team? It sounds like he is. JJ Redick clearly wants him to buy into that role early, build the habits now, get the numbers later. But we've seen that version of Ayton who loses interest as he's not featured throughout the season. So there's a balance, Kwame, but we got to figure it out. Which DeAndre Ayton is the best Ayton for this Lakers roster so far? Through 2 games, what have you seen? And what do you think we need? Offensive Ayton or defensive lockdown Ayton?
Wow. I think it's both. To your point. It's finding that balance. Because, again, if he came here expecting to be a 20-10 player, he came to the absolute wrong team, because that's just not what's going to happen on a night-to-night basis. Now, I do think there are going to be some nights where we are going to need 20-10 out of DeAndre Ayton. It just won't be every night. And to your point, I think we have so much firepower on the offensive end between Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James that Ayton in just the starting lineup is the 4th option. Just the starting lineup, he's the 4th option. I think, to your point, he's going to have to live in the margins. He's going to have to score in the pick and roll. He's going to have to get offensive boards, put backs, catch lobs. That's going to be his bread and butter. That is where he's going to get the lion's share of his scoring from. It's not going to be Ayton post-ups and clear-outs. Like, that's going to be very seldomly used, He might get his, 3 a game, like we used to give JaVale McGee. Remember, we used to do the customary.
Yeah,
JaVale
he used to get the first
3 post-ups, and it'd be crazy. And maybe Ayton has something like that, but he's got to understand his number is not going to be called on a nightly basis. And we just have guards, unfortunately, that like to pound the basketball. Austin Reeves takes 950,000 dribbles. I mean, it's saucy, but he does pound that rock. Luka, too, is going to take 895,000 dribbles. LeBron James is going to take probably like 795,000 dribbles. So, it's still a lot of dribbles. Gabe Vincent, you even saw it. And Gabe, I think, is a good playmaker. He couldn't get the ball to Ayton as much as Ayton probably would have liked. Game 1, he talked about it. Hey, I didn't see the ball a ton. So, and it just is what it is. And I hope that is not something that lingers, because that can very quickly snowball and become an actual problem within the locker room. But Ayton says, hey, he's saying all the right things in the interviews. As long as that translates on the court, I'm not worried about it. My question for the big season is going to be, will his impact wane based on his touches? Because guys who don't get the ball, don't see it a lot, start to not get as involved. They're not hustling as hard. They're not running back as hard. They're not fighting as hard for rebounds because they're not getting the ball as much as they expected. And if Ayton can clear himself from that, he will be a phenomenal center for this Los Angeles Lakers team. But if he cannot seem to shake that, then I see it being a much bigger problem throughout this season. And he can define who he is for the rest of his career. What he does with this Lakers team can change his outlook throughout the entire league. And his issue has never been his ability to play. It's been his heart, his mind, his motor. If he can make sure those three things are in check this upcoming season, I have no worries. But through 2 games, I feel like I've seen flashes of the Ayton that everybody's like, yep, that's just DeAndre Ayton. It was funny. Even in game 1, he took that first turnaround hook, which came off the rim, and you hear Devin Booker scream, "Hell no!" Old teammate.
Right.
So
yeah,
I thought that
teammate.
was very funny. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, DeAndre Ayton's going to get plenty of opportunities, but he's going to have to continue to find places where he can be engaged without having the ball in his hands at all. And even when you think at Portland, even though they had a lot of guards, there weren't a lot of people who were going to put up a ton of numbers. So he if he got the ball, he got to play with it a little bit, do what he needed to do, and get some baskets. But on this team, his role is going to be very, very straightforward. And he's, like you said, he's going to have to capitalize in the margins and make the most of the opportunity. But we're going to need him on the defensive end. He's going to have to be the communicator, the man in the middle. He's going to have to talk. He's going to have to be ready. And pick and roll, he's going to have to talk. He's going to have to be ready, hands up, whatever it needs. He's going to have to execute the game plan exactly how the coaches need it to be. So it'll be interesting, man. It'll be very interesting to see how DeAndre Ayton, he's going to be the guy, unfortunately, that's going to catch a lot of people's eyes this season. So his performance is going to be under scrutiny every single night, because not only is he just feeling the need of a center that we've been begging for 6 seasons, he's also, in a way, the Anthony Davis of our front court. So he's going to have to be able to perform in some capacity. We know he's not Anthony Davis. We understand that, but he can't be nothing. There can't be nights where people are screaming, "Put Jackson Hayes in." That cannot happen with DeAndre Ayton with any sort of routine. So the man in the middle's got a lot to work on. So we'll see. The jury's still out. I can't say I was blown away, nor am I super optimistic. I'm very much in the middle. And again, I don't think you can fully judge his position without our playmakers, because those are the guys who are supposed to draw the eyes for the easy. And DeAndre Ayton comes and dunks it down. That is supposed to be what his role is. When all eyes are everywhere else, he's in the dunker spot ready to put the ball through the rim. And we haven't quite had those plays or even those players to really be on the court to make that happen.
I think at the end of the day, this is where I land with Ayton. As someone who, a BBU, Big Boy University, I have to give a first passing profile for him. DeAndre Ayton seems like an NBA big that is best suited for rim protection, help defense, and rebounding. I think the Los Angeles Lakers, while needing that, also need him to be a little assertive scoring. There has to be that minutia of, regardless of my touches when I'm with the big dogs, I'm going to be solid defensively. But when the big dogs are out, I'm going to look for my shot. It is going to be infuriating with Ayton ISOs potentially early in a possession when you got Luka and LeBron out there before something is even developed, no motion, no fluidity, no screen set, and it seems like a wasted possession. But that looks a lot different when it's Ayton, Marcus Smart, LaRavia, and Rui Hachimura, just for example, all on the court together. Then that's your time to cook, brother. Now it's that mental piece of, can you balance both? Can you be that guy when you're not that guy, and then be that guy when you need to be that guy, all while keeping your defensive presence and staying engaged? That's the $1 million question. That's been the $1 million question for DeAndre Ayton ever since that he touched down into this league and people saw the talent, but also saw that the motor is pushed to start. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. There's no turnkey in DeAndre Ayton's motor. It's off or it's on. We need to turn that into an electric vehicle that's just, it's running. It's always running.